Hmm. All right, we're live.
Okay.
Back with another episode of Think Music Podcast. And it's been
Uh-oh.
a challenge. What happened?
Uh, I was in here messing around and I done messed something up. Hold on, let me see something. I'm gonna go back out and come back in.
All right. We're going to get rolling here. Just a second. We've had some technical difficulties on my end. Get this thing popping here in a second. Got a bunch of wires in here that don't seem to be getting their job done. I'm not a audio specialist, so ain't my strong suit. So it's probably something I'm doing wrong. There's a good chance that that's what the problem is, something I'm doing wrong. So as soon as I can get up with somebody to help me with this, let's get that rolling down there. Get that ticker tape going. Waiting on Dap to chime back in. And waiting on some of our chat room folk to late night crew. See if we're gonna get any other late night crew to chime in here. And I'll tell you what I'm probably gonna do. I'm gonna show my little setup here sometime. They're gonna put out an all points bulletin. Okay, he got to restart his computer. But at some point, I'm gonna put a. Oh damn, he already back.
Yeah.
Bet.
I got me this while you was doing that, I got this camera here. And I plugged it into my I got this USB webcam because it's a high definition 1080. And I was and I plugged it in and it's gonna try to mess with that real quick, and it froze my camera because of that. So I think I might have to. I think I had to. My camera because I have an all-in-one computer, so the camera comes out the top. I don't know if I had to close that, push that down, and this one it would have activated this one or not. But I'm gonna figure it out when we I'm gonna figure it out later. But
Oh yeah, you just gotta go in and tell the computer which one you're gonna use
okay,
and your device's setting.
okay, yeah, because that's what it had me go to. But
Yeah.
I'll mess with that in a minute. I think I'm gonna try to look for me a camera this weekend, so I can be crisp on both ends. I was listening to your man. I don't know what kind of camera he got, but his joint, that Dorian 82 guy.
Who is that?
He be talking about the music and all of that. You sent me a video from him. I had seen one from him before. I'm not subscribed to his platform, but he was on last night. I think it's something like Duck something, and like he always play like an excerpt, and then he comes in and start talking on his videos. But he was just doing one on. He was live last night talking about NFTs and all that type of stuff and stocks and but his camera dumb bright.
Oh yeah,
good quality joint. I don't know what kind of camera he got, but this joint, yeah, mine look better tonight though. Usually I be looking grainy and look a little clearer tonight. Maybe because I got this other light on. I got a light that sits on my desk, like one of them podcast lights. But now I got like a lamp on, but it's from afar. Because you know how these setups are. It's all about how your lighting is, and all of that to help your camera out. So, but yeah, this looks better now. I might have to start using that lamp light over there because the lamp obviously it's one of those Walmart type joints, so it has the. I got the lower one on, and then I have a bulb in there that's like a high energy bulb. So, so it's not white; it's kind of like yellow. So, looking at my joint, this look all right. It's still grainy because my camera's trash. Like I was telling my man the other day, I'm like, yo, how is it my phone has a better camera than my home computer? He's like, yo, they got to sell the phone, so they giving you way better cameras. I'm like, yeah, no doubt. But still, like I done paid stat for this computer. I'm supposed to have an A1 camera on this joint.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of light, my light is looking trash.
I like it look though. You got that. If you light an incense, brother. You light an incense and put a kufi on.
Yeah, my wife got this for me.
The Christmas joint?
Oh, they're not really Christmas lights, but I guess that's what they ultimately are. But that's the YouTube shit now. You got to have a little. Gotta have a feng shui lighting kit.
Yeah, get your light together. Step your light game up.
Yeah, I'm trying to be an influencer around this.
Yeah, you got your book shining, like got your tripping. Whatchamacallit to the left of you? Your printer? Got your printer?
Yeah, we trying to.
All you need to do is start talking about history. Look at all the books behind him. He knows what he's talking about.
Like my brother used to say, fake it till you make it.
That's a real thing. Hey, you think you can add EP Clarity Insight to the banner? I meant to say something before we went live.
Yeah. Yeah, let me type it in. I'm on I'm gonna get this light straight here in a minute because this shit ain't gonna work. Let's see here. What's that?
I said you don't like your back cave look.
Nah, I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about just right here up on my. It's not making my camera crisp. My image not looking.
Yeah, I am trying to
camp. Think Music.
New EP, Clarity in Sight.
So y'all can go and get this work. Let's see here.
Ooh. This might be. I think I might have something. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So right where I'm at might be an ill spot to start off at. The hierarchy of cosmic powers.
All right.
I like the global reset background too. Yeah, that'll be ill. Like when we come on, use different covers when we come on. Like one time use Julius and Malone. One time use yeah, that'll be dope. The prep. You know what I mean? Yeah. This looks nice.
Yeah. So you say you got something?
Yeah, well, right where I stopped reading, the next thing I was about to read is interesting. I haven't read it yet, but it's the heading is the creation of the human. So that's befitting with what we're talking about, understanding, attempting to understand God. I haven't read it, but I'll read it and see. We'll see what it say together. And I also got the Gnostic Gospels by Elaine Pagels. Do you have that book also?
Yeah.
Okay, because when you were saying about the Gnostics text, I was like, I know I got another Gnostic book.
The fuck? I'm trying to find my.
I'm really ecstatic, man. I got 2 days of eating real. I said I have 2 days of eating real clean and
2 days of eating real clean.
yeah.
That's what's up. All right, I ain't gonna worry about it. Got too much going on. So you, Triple JC, I appreciate that. Triple JC said, let's make that official. Let's put that up there. He said, Gnosis, you got dope tracks. Peace. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Triple JC. We out here working, good brother.
Yeah, we grinding. So you say you was about to go into this?
Yeah, so for everyone, I'm coming out of the Nag Hammadi scriptures and God or gods, also big G or little g.
We're talking about the all.
Okay, so I'm gonna read this. Get my mic right. I feel like I can't really hear me. You said you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I can't. Oh, I turned my mic. There we go.
I mean, you could turn it up a little bit more.
Okay. How's that?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. How's that? Because I gets busy with mine. It's Keith Murray. All right. Now the whole establishment and organization of the images, likenesses. Oh, okay. So I'm coming out of the non-commodity scriptures, and I'm reading the creation of the human. It says, now the whole establishment and organization of the images, likenesses, and imitations has come into being for the sake of those who need nourishment, instruction, and form, so that the smallness may gradually grow, as through the instruction provided by the image of a mirror. And then it says, apparently the devil, who is the ruler of the material realm. No, they coming from 1 Corinthians 13:12. For the Valentinians, the cosmos is not evil, but serves as a means of instruction, being a weak reflection of the fullness. So I have one of those little small numbers along the side of that sentence. That in fact is why we created. That in fact is why he created the human last, after having prepared and provided for him the things that he created for his sake. And they're coming out of Genesis 1:2. The creation of the human happened in the same way as everything else. The spiritual word set it invisibly going, accomplishing it by means of the demiurge and his subservient angels, who were joined in the modeling by the presumptuous thought and its rulers. Thus the human became like an earthly shadow. They're coming out of Genesis 2:7. So that he would be the same kind as those who are cut off from the members of the all, and a creature made by them all, the ones on the right as well as the ones on the left, each of the orders forming the human, just as itself was. Turn this down a little bit because I'm talking right in the mic now, as it was. Okay. From the form that the word brought forth was deficient in such a way that he was afflicted by sickness. It did not resemble him, for he brought him forth into oblivion, ignorance, and all other sicknesses, having given him only the first form. Now the word gave him something through the demiurge without his knowledge, to let him know that there exists something higher and realize that he needed it. This is what the prophet called the breath of life and of the superior eon. And this is the living soul that gave life to the substance that was dead at first, for that which is dead is ignorant. We must therefore conclude that the soul of the first human derives from the spiritual word, even if the creator thought it was his, because of which was breathed went through him as a thought, as damn, because that which was breathed went through him as through a mouth. The creator himself also sent down souls of his own substance, since he too has the ability to procreate, derived from the likeness of the Father, and those on the left as well produce a short human being of their own, since they possess the imitation. The spiritual substance is one and a single image. Its sickness is the condition form. As for the substance of those who are psychical, its condition is double, because it has an understanding of what is superior and confesses it. But it also inclined towards evil on an account of the inclination of the presumptuous thought. And as far as the material substance is concerned, Its impulses are diverse and take many forms. It was a sickness and assumed many kinds of inclinations. The first human, then is mixed molding and the mixed creation and the depository of those on the left and those on the right, as well as the spiritual word and his sentiments are divided between each of the two substances to which he owes his existence. So that was that whole piece on the creation of the human according to what's in the Nag Hammadi scriptures.
Okay. Before we dive into that, I want to say that the reason that I personally wanted the title to specifically say attempting to define God is because of I know I done read through a lot of this stuff, a lot of things. I've developed my own theories. I've heard other people's theories, but astrologically, Mercury, and I want to say too, I misspoke last week. I said the moon had gone into Aries. It hadn't. It was Pisces. But Mercury is now in Pisces. If I'm, yeah, yes, it's in Pisces. So Mercury is like the messenger, and the messenger flies through the air. Mercury's swift. Mercury in Pisces is like a bird submerged into water, which means his wings is heavy now and it's hard to fly like he normally would. Mm-hmm. So the reason it's titled An Attempt is in respect to the energy that we're in right now, where things may not appear to be as clear as they may have been previously or at other times. And that may seem like it's a handicap, but it's also valuable because it allows for a measure of forgetfulness of what we feel like we know, mm-hmm. and an allowance to ponder. So the title is Attempt. Okay. So, which means allowing to you're right, we're just going on symbols. We're not going on literal. We know birds go and can go and grab. We're talking about something in the air that's suddenly submerged in water. We're not looking at the literal. You're correct. But we're talking about symbolically. If something is accustomed to the lightness of air, if it's submerged in water, it has to use different faculties symbolically. So we're talking about symbolically allowing ourselves to approach something from the stance of, I don't know it all. That's all. Does that make sense?
Yes. They use special vision to see through the water surface and die.
Right.
And I think oh, my bad.
No, I'm just gonna say so now. I'm gonna approach all this as if I'm reading or approaching it for the first time, so to speak. Okay.
And just to touch on what you just said, about, excuse me, um, you would have to read it again, but it's speaking on the left and right mind. I got that from it too, with the creator being in the middle. Um, so it's kind of like you're getting you. It. We always talk about balance and what the scales look like, and we obviously know we got the left and the right, but then we have the middle, which keeps it, which is where your equilibrium begins at. And that's what I got from that too. We have that. It's like the Tom and Jerry thing with the cartoon, with the devil on one shoulder and God on one, and then your mind in the middle, and then you have to, you're making a choice. So I see that in there also. Um, but it seemed like, from what this is saying, like, what I guess that the negative gene is it, for whatever reason it's in there with us too, and understanding that it's something higher than us is in there. Okay. So
Oh, so this is what I've been reading along the same lines. Okay, so which part did you come out of?
So I'm still in the, what's that, the triprate tractate, and I was
Yeah,
reading
tractate.
the tractate, and I was reading the creation of the human.
Okay. This is the Apocryphon of John, or also referred to as the secret book of John.
Right, you correct. Because just reading in this chapter, the the prime creator made barriers to where you can't get to him. He created all these different. It's like a hierarchy before you can get to the main source. So it seems we know we have the source in us, but it created barriers for us not to get back to it for whatever reason. Peace, Ryan.
Peace. So are they barriers, or are they mazes set up for it to find itself?
Well, that could be it too. Once you told me the story you told me yesterday of the bee falling asleep and dreaming, and then yeah, layers on layers of illusion. Um, and then the bird falling asleep, and no, how you equated it to Inception, where when
Right.
Leonardo DiCaprio went to the construction world of his, where he placed his wife at, she was way in his construction world, and he was layer, what they say, he was, he's on the top floor, she was on the bottom floor in his mind. And he would go down to the bottom floor to talk, he would go down to the construction floor to talk to her. And then, but he mentally left her there.
So what else do you gather from that passage?
I mean, I just really never understood, because it's in here too, of, I guess it's a question I always asked when I was in church, like, and I guess the understanding comes back to God just doing things to understand itself. But why would you even create the negative and the positive when, like if you were here yourself, and like I said, now I understand, like, it's for its reason, and I'm not gonna say I understand its reason, but just my reasoning would be like, just why would you just create something great, like, something where there's nothing negative, uh, of what we think negativity is.
Yeah.
Because there's just said it's both, like it's good and bad, and then he's in the middle. So it's like, I created you to know that I created you. He could have created us where we don't even think about where we come from, but he created us, or it created us with an inkling of knowing there's something higher than us, but then we can't get back what's higher than us when we come from what's higher than us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's barriers there to get back to where you come from. And why did it do that? Because as I'm reading this, I'm seeing that a lot, and I'm just like, why would it do that? But then if it's doing something for its own understanding, then I don't have the capability to, to understand that. You know what I'm saying? I don't
The
know why
things
it do that. Sorry.
the thing that is perplexing about reading these texts is that it's always presented that this force is perfect, lacks nothing, is incorruptible,
Right.
knows all,
Right.
is all. So then, even when we get to the story of since we in the Gnostic text, this apocryphon of John introduces the character of Aldebaoth. And Yoel said last week, I think was profound, that Aldebaoth is the innocent, ignorant child. And I think that is a key to getting another understanding. Because see, when we introduce to these Gnostic texts, a lot of times it's introduced to somebody's lens of interpretation of them. And so when we read them, we've already wearing their lens.
Right.
What I'm trying to do is go back and to look at them again and forget what I think I know about Aldebaoth. Oh, he's the blind, ignorant entity. Oh, he's what's really trapping us here. And such is just represents Aldebaoth, and he wants to control the Maya, the illusionary world, and he's trying to hold us down, and we're rising up. We were before. I know all that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm re-looking at it though, because if something is all-knowing and is before Aldebaoth and is before Aldebaoth's mother, Sophia, then that means Aldebaoth has to be a planned birth.
Right.
Then see, this why I'm going back and re-looking at this with just a common sense mind.
Yes.
If I know everything,
right,
then I knew this motherfucker was going to happen. I knew that Sophia was going to try to create something without me. And when she tried to create something, it was going to be this cat right here. Now, here's another thing that you see in the Apocryphon of John. It says that when Sophia created Aldebaoth and she saw the ugliness of what she had done, she put a cloud around him. Now, I just want you, see, we're talking about re-looking at this shit.
And Ryan said tricksters, and yeah.
What's up, Swords Witch?
Swords Witch, peace.
But this is what I'm saying. Damn.
I'm sorry for cutting you, bro.
It
just make me look it real quick. It just makes me think. It goes back to, people sending, those out to do anthropology and go dig in places and get this information, and then you control what the information says. Because like you said, like, we don't, if you're coming from a text that was written in a different language, you're controlling Like, I don't know how to read it, so I'm taking your word and hoping you digging an integrity of you decoding this thing and then giving me the right word. But it's going back to something else, and it's going back into, like you said, the common sense thing of, if I know, like, if God knows everything and He's everywhere, then He's supposed to know all the plans and everything that's being made, because we come from it. Like, we're not unattached to it, so it has a way to, you know what I mean? Like, it's like if I'm a transformer with all the electrical wires coming from it. If I'm the hub of that, like, I know everywhere the power's going. I know every home it's in and everything.
Right. So
And then I'm sorry,
where I
bro.
was going with this is, if Sophia saw how ugly he was, she put a cloud around him and she basically turned her back. What I'm saying is, I know all the catchphrases that refer to Aldebaran. Let's throw all that shit out the window. Let's think about a mother who turns her back on a child. Look. When she, hold on. Okay. And the Sophia of the Epinoia being an aeon, conceived a thought from herself, and a conception of the invisible spirit of foreknowledge. She wanted to bring forth a likeness out of herself without the consent of the spirit. He had not approved, and without her consort, and without his consideration. And though the person of her maleness had not approved, and she had not found her agreement, and she had thought without the consent of the spirit and the knowledge of her agreement, she brought forth, and because of the invincible power which is in her, her thought did not remain idle, and something came out of her, which was imperfect and different from her appearance. Because she had created it without consort, it was dissimilar to the likeness of its mother, for it was another form. Hold on, I'm trying to find. Okay, here you go. Let me just read that. And she saw the consequences of her desire. It changed into a form of a lion-faced serpent, and its eyes were like lightning fires which flash. She cast it away from her outside that place, that no one of the immortal ones might see it, for she had created it in ignorance, and she surrounded it with a luminous. Okay, dig in right here. And she surrounded it with a luminous cloud. And she placed a throne in the middle of the cloud, that no one might see it except the Holy Spirit, who is called the Mother of the Living. And she calls his name Aldebaran. Let's just put this in common terms where we live right now. Think about people we know. Childhood trauma creates adult maniacs in some regards.
Yes.
The story, the mother turned her back on her child.
Mm-hmm.
This ain't no new story. This ain't no old story. This is a current story.
Right.
This is a reoccurring event. You know, when we look at a chart, you look at what somebody's moon and sun is in their chart. And it sometimes can give you a glimpse of the type of relationship the mother and the father had at the time that the native took the first breath. If that moon is in a harsh aspect to the sun, it could suggest that the mother and the father were not in agreement. This story is like looking at that shit in somebody's chart. The mother and the father were not in agreement, and they created something. So when the metaphysicians and all the people talk about this, they talk about Aldebaoth like, yeah, it's like it's the enemy, and all it comes back to is duality, which we say we're trying to overcome duality. So if you're really looking to overcome duality, somebody needs to look at Aldebaoth's side of the story.
Yes, and see what his mom did.
You see where I'm going with this?
Right. Go to the foundation.
He's the original abandoned child. He's the wound. How many people got this same wound?
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying Mercury and Pisces. I'm talking about taking a different look. I know all the shit, all the catchphrases for it's the demiurge, and I'm talking about remove that shit. I'm talking about let's look at this shit is profound when we look at it like and apply it to like where we at right now. We see real time. Look, the most detrimental thing to me, one of the most detrimental things is children being mishandled. Those wounds from childhood, them motherfuckers stick.
Yes.
They stick. What's up, Brother Williams?
Peace, bro. Will.
That's just what I wanted to interject. That was something really stuck out at me about when we. So I'm still tying it back in, and we're talking about defining God because does not the Supreme have to have a hand in this too?
Yes. And it goes back to why. And I don't know. I don't either we being either we being lied to through either the scripts are saying something different than what we're being told they say, or the creator of all things have its own agenda that we just can't fathom. You know what I mean? Because I'm a foundation guy, and that that's all I can come up with. You know what I'm saying? Because I just don't, and like I said, we can circle back to it's doing it to understand itself and all of that. But I mean, I don't know, man. It's a lot. It's a lot that goes on in this world, and it's just really hard to understand why when you're dealing with something so great as the creator is, of being able to create not just earth but everything outside of it, allegedly. So I don't know. That's something I thought about since I was young. And I don't know. So it's just as I've been reading this, that's been coming back up in my mind of like, I don't know why.
So Yoel says she more hides him from the full essence of the all. But and that's a valid perspective. But here's the question: what's still the result of it? What's the result? The result is there's a wound, right? Whatever her reasons are, the wound of Aldebaoth is his creation, period. You created me, you don't want me.
What did you create me for?
What did you create me for? That's the wound. What made me start looking at these things differently is through looking through the lens of astrology, because Sophia is feminine, of course. She's the mother. And she's the water, right? We are floating in water before we are birthed into the world.
Yes.
If you look at the symbol of Aries, okay, it's like something springing up out. That's why Aries is spring, which is right now. Happy vernal equinox, everybody. So it comes up out of this, and it does this, like something sprouting up out of something. That's Aries. Now, Aries says, I am. Now, if you look at the traits of Aldebaran, his traits would be the dark side of Aries. Aries is your identity. Okay? But identity can become insanity. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Ego out of control. And a lot of times that can be fueled by somebody trying to overcome some fucked up shit that happened in their life. Hold on. Joel says, kinda like a child kept in a house or the room, creating all in that space in itself, forming many perspectives of existence by the cat. Yes. Yes.
It's like that movie Raising Cain, with John Lithgow, where you had all these personalities, but they all set in him, which would look at him as the source of it. But then he went in his mind, and he was a little kid, he was a woman, he was himself. So, yeah, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. And so now I guess you're doing it now in that sense. As a child, you're doing it because you're isolated and you're trying to create um you're trying to create I guess
A world.
a world. I guess it's like when we use our imagination. Like you sit and play with your toys and then you create you create a life for your toys. Oh,
Yeah.
Or you're playing with your cars and you mentally putting somebody in the car, like this is Jeff's car and this is Brian's car and this is Larry's
Yeah.
car, and we're going to a car club. I can't front how you do that. So what it makes me think, with that being said, when we look at this, is why I think nature plays a key in our understanding. And for whatever reason, I haven't, like, it's there, but it hasn't come to me where I can give a dissertation on it. But I think what we see in nature pertains to us also. But where we know the soil helps fertilize the trees and the plants, we just don't know what fertilized us. Like you know what I'm saying? Maybe you get what I'm saying. Like the soil's there, so we know the soil helps feed the trees and brings in the water, nutrients, and all of that. But we don't know what does that for us per se. Like the tree knows the soil does that, but we don't know what our source is. But we
Well,
see things produced throughout nature from a source. Even though the ultimate source did create, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? But you know what I'm saying? But just in a practical way, looking at it, when you look outside, we see it all the time. You know what I mean? We see. I always give you the example of the leaf. Like the tree is bare, then the spring come, leaves begin to grow, and then all over summer they're vibrant and green or whatever. Then the fall come, they start turning colors, and then the winter they're gone, and then it circles back. almost like our circle of life. If you believe that we, for those who believe that we come back. So,
Well, I think you already know the answer. You said, what's the purpose of user wonder, or why does the supreme have to create evil? Why can't it all be good? Because evil is the excrement. Soil, sod, sediment, shit. So the word evil itself means jewel. Like Upanishads, upa, the word evil comes from upa, as in that's what the Upanishads, they're really about evil. But it's the metaphysical transformation of it's not connotative evil, what we think of evil as. It's evil as in the jewels are buried where they can't be seen. So from a alchemical or metaphysical standpoint, evil is the excrement necessary to grow what we think are the beautiful things we see, the trees, the flowers, even the whole thing with our teeth. Our gums would be the equivalent of evil, because the word gums literally means chaos. So there's mucus and all types of shit going on underneath our gums that crystallizes into the teeth we have. So I can see, just from observing just in our lives, I can see metaphysically the purpose, but it don't, because we live in human form. It's a lot more tragic to deal with quote unquote evil.
Ryan says something interesting. He says, why ain't it good if it's not retained? And then UL says, then the light shines on the soil to make the life spring out. Everything needs order. Because if you don't brush your teeth rot out. If you don't exercise, your body wear out. If you don't constantly move you can't lay down too long, you can't stand too long, you can't sit too long. You're constantly moving. If you're not doing something, then you deteriorate. So what Ryan said is, why ain't it good if it's not retained? That's what it seems like. If it's not a part of what the creator doing, then it fades out. And then we circle back and we see the same thing in life and in nature, that circle. It's like everything needs everything to create some type of order.
I think that evil, from the standpoint that we use it, is stagnation. If something's not moving, to me, that's what really true evil is. And not evil from its etymological meaning, but evil in the sense that we think of in our world. To me, I think what's evil if it's something's not moving.
So soldier. Oh, my bad.
And just real brief, going back to the wheel, everything's in that wheel. In that zodiacal wheel, everything's in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So life has always been mundane work and intention. I'm careful about using all, and life is everything. Life is everything. It's everything to me, everything is flowing in and out of each other. Source which said evil is good and good is evil. Ultimately, it's what it is. Now, that's a philosophical statement, and it doesn't make things any easier. But it is true. It is true. And again, for that statement denotes some type of flowing. Something flowing into something and what seems to be the polarity flowing back into it. You know. But I'm seeing these things differently than I used to see them. I'm gonna be straight up. I'm feeling more compassionate for Aldebath. I'm feeling a little more compassion for the loser in the story because these things are tricky. You know, we've been brought up with a Hollywood mind, so we're looking for the victor in the story. We're looking for the villain. You know, the damsel in distress.
Yeah, they gave us prompts. Yeah.
What you mean?
Well, it seemed like they gave us through the movies because we know the movies were programming, or can create programming, and they gave us tropes in the movies to look for in real life. So the running, the man and woman, the man and the woman running to each other on the beach, and hugging each other, and this false sense of um of love, or what love is. And and then you see that movie and oh man, I wish I can have that in my life. And then you go watch your 6 o'clock news, and it's just like even though I know that's controlled too, because they choose what they're going to talk about, and things of that nature. But so it's like with you never know what someone's agenda is. But because we as humans can be easily, I don't want to say dupe, but I guess programmed, then you could put things, you could give people a false sense of I don't know, man. You can give them a false sense of security in that way. Old news is new news.
So one thing I know, my old man used to say, right, that's all the translations can give. One is a story to try to transfer the teaching, mostly on many levels. Right. Yeah. I know one thing, and my old man was on the fringes of getting in the metaphysics. I go back and look through his stuff, and he had the Blavatsky book back in the 80s. Sex and Spirituality by John Moore. He had what other metaphysical books did he have? He had a lot of fringe stuff, the nigger Bible. Oh, wow. Crazy stuff, So he was on the fringe, but that was so far-fetched for a black man back then. But the thing, but he still considered himself to be a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
but he was never one of those Bible thumping, quoting scriptures type people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he quietly did his own little studying at home. One thing I came to learn from my mama after he transitioned, she said, you know, your daddy used to always say, people always talking about God is to fear God and because you know the 80s was, you got to look at the 80s, the 70s and the 80s. It was fire and brimstone Christianity. This was before, what's up, Serious Biz?
Peace,
Um,
serious biz.
this was before TD Jakes and all of them came in with the prosperity gospel.
Mm-hmm.
So the 80s was fire and brimstone. You better get right with God, get right with God, you know. And she said he's always be like, everybody always talking about what God gonna do to you and punish you, fear, fear, fear. And he was like, God is love. And that's a whole nother perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You know, God is love. And I thought about that today. And I thought about, well, what archetype would be associated? Venus. Venus with love. And it's funny because even the chart for the United States um, is Cancerian. You know what I'm saying? Love, love. And that's the moon, but there's a deep connection between Venus and the moon, you know, which is ironic. Uh, the so called capital is in DC, District of Columbia. You know, Columbia is again associated with Venus. So I know that's going off on another tangent, but it's funny all this stuff set up in this country is about love, which is ironic.
Right.
But what's your thoughts on that perspective?
That God is love.
Yeah. Is that just cliche?
I think that's what we want God to be. Um, I guess it goes, like I said, it goes back to the foundation of why. But ultimately, I think that's what we want our Savior to be, is a person of love. Like, why? Like, if we didn't actually be here and then we come here and then we don't know what type of life we're going to be brought into, we don't know what type of parents we're going to have, we don't know what type of life situation we're going to have. Um, you didn't create yourself to bring yourself here. That it, you know as far as I know, but um but ultimately I think that's what we want, and I think
That's
that
it.
um love is more than just a dewdrops and rainbows, but the storm. Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Yeah, and going back to what I was reading, that's what it's telling us. Like, for whatever reason, they created both with an innate understanding that we know there's something higher, and then once we understand that, we're searching for it. And I think uh, but then you have people I think you have people, create religions around that, some, things of that nature, created um thought processes on that. And but ultimately it comes back to yourself, and what are you trying to do with yourself, knowing you come from something greater. So now, the world we live in, you begin to understand that. You try to understand the world you live in, if you get that spark too. Because I believe you get, I believe things in the world can happen to give you that, like, man, I got to do something different. Or without even getting in trouble, by what's going on in the world. You just know, oh, I want to do something different. I want to better myself. I want to move in a different direction. I see what's going on in the world, so let me do something, do something different. Um, but ultimately, I think that's what you want. I think you're looking for love yourself, and you get on the path of that. And yeah, that's what I think, man.
Okay, I want to backtrack because see, this is where I wanted to go. This
Okay.
no, this comment. Love is more than just the dewdrops and rainbows, but the storm. Because what my mind started thinking, well, what is love though? See, it's like immediately when we say love, you know what I'm saying? It that the Hollywood template kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I'm one of the reasons I'm so fascinated with words is because, well, what's love? Now we
Yeah.
do know, and I don't know exactly what my old man meant when he said love, but he was a Leo, so you know, um, and
Well, we think because God created all of this, He loves it.
well, again, but
He
what's
loves His
love though?
creation.
But
Mm.
what's love? That's the key. If love is the hinge word we're coming back to, well, what is love? Now, how are we defining it?
That goes back to what's money. They gave money power. We give it power, but it really just a piece of paper.
No, that's fiat. But they gave us fiat to define money to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
that's what
that's
I'm
not
saying.
money.
Right. I mean, it's just like we as humans give things worth, right? Because who says gold's with anything? Like gold shiny, and then they said is some people said it's worth something. Then we create money as a means of exchange, where the true exchange was off your talent. That was the real exchange. They, as they say in the past, if you're an architect, if you can build something and I can create something, we exchange that. I need what you want what I have, and I want what you have, and then you create it for me, I create it for you, and then we exchange it. That was the only worth at a point before there was any money. Then they bring the fiat along, and then they say this is a means of exchange instead of spitting in your palm and shaking hands. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna do you right. Then we just use the money as a means of exchange, but we gave it worth. Just like when they go dig for gold, no one says gold is just a combination of soils and rocks being pressed together, and then we give that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we give that worth. But is it really worth anything?
Yeah, it's worth something because let's see, what I'm talking about is going back to the pre-capitalistic Europeanized definitions of things.
Mm-hmm.
Gold is an energy conduit.
Mm-hmm.
So before it being shiny. That's why it's so important to ancient people. So that's what I'm trying to get at with love. I'm saying before our contextual ideas of it, the whole point of looking at an etymology is that it's trying to get back closer to a symbolic understanding of something. So this what I'm trying to go with. I said, well, we got to go back and say, well, what's love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of these trace back to the 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 a root lube, and first word is desire. Okay. Venus literally means desire. Okay. Now, desire traces back to mean wheat and light. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, check this out. This symbol, if it shows up, let me see.
Is that a cross and the Ankh?
That's a symbol for Venus. Shit. That's the Ankh, and that's a symbol for Venus.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's look, see how close they look to each other?
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. The story goes that Isis and Osiris came to teach man how to cultivate wheat. Venus means desire. Desire means thing. It means white. It means light. It means wheat. So, so, so love. Then, can we say that love? Just tracing it back, can we say love is a light? Some form of light.
I
See what I'm
mean,
saying? So if God is love, God is light. And so and so that the drama is yes, Venus is a morning star. Yes. Yes, Yoel. So what I'm saying is, could it be that the whole drama is set up to cultivate light? I'm just throwing that out there.
the whole drama is set up to cultivate light. Hmm.
Love is light. Love, the V in the word love, when you are what do they call it? Transliterating languages, V's as in Victor can be substituted for B as in boy, F as in Frank, P as in Paul. Okay? So that V in love can become lub. Lub as in like the Arabic word for yogurt is Leban. You had that lub, that means light. You know, lub also means oil, like lubricate.
Right.
So now we got the whole thing of the anointing, the oil, the Mashiach. It's they're all coded in that word. Eve is even in the word love. So I know I'm going on here, and I'm yield the floor, but just I'm just throwing that out there.
So that would, in the context you're speaking, it makes me think about going back towards the light in your walk here, trying to get back towards that thing um, from which you came. And it's innately in you to do that. But then you have to get through all the muck of the world you live in to see that and then push forward towards that. And if you're doing your part, you can reach that nirvana, barring anything that, random happening to you. I think you can reach that. And I don't think it's the physical nirvana, like, oh, I'm, like if you take some type of psychedelic or something, it's like, oh, I reached it. I just mean like you can navigate this life by understanding it and then try your best to navigate it. Like I said, and barring anything outside of yourself happening to you, you know, you can, because you said something earlier about something was said earlier about good and evil. And I listened to Sister Soldier on the Breakfast Club the other day, and they was asking her about, she said it's easy to be evil because it's no work in it. Like it's just, you can just snap, like it's nothing in that. But she was like, the work is in being good, because she was saying she want to be good. And she touched on something we touched on before, talking in our personal conversation of like what is like feeling like the work here that we're doing is to help progress us to what's next. So, and that's what she was saying. Like she felt like what she's doing is preparing her for what's after this world. But she was saying being good is harder than being evil, because when you're being good, you gotta, maybe not say something to someone, maybe not react in a way. It's easy to react. Reactionary is easy, but to control that is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, so yeah, you're trying to be good in a place where there's a whole bunch of um people in place or things in place to get you off of that, to keep you downtrodden and down. Um, but then even in your downtroddenness and being down, you can still have success if you know what is success for you. You know what I mean? Because yeah, they gave us a picture of what success is, but then what is success to you? If success to you is I'm handling my business and I have a roof over my head and I can eat every day, then you're successful. And then in turn in that, and then and then maybe you're doing some studying and reading and trying to enlighten yourself as best as possible. When you're doing all of those things, you ain't out on the block hustling. You ain't arguing with your wife, you're not berating your children, you're not creating circumstances for yourself that can later on, maybe put you in a snare. You know what I'm saying? Even though we all have a past, but you know, I'm just saying, like, once you get caught up in, trying to do good, um, then yeah.
I, I
So
I think my bad. Go ahead.
no, you good.
Um, I think we also have to put good in context.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I one of the so many C. Freeman L. lectures I have watched, and I remember him talking about the Great Pyramid of Egypt. I said that line in the Ordo Templo. I said, there is good, there is evil, and then there's perfection. See, Freeman L. revealed this in the lesson. That's the Great Pyramid of Egypt. And he was saying that was this code behind why the Great Pyramid is there's good, there's evil, then there's perfect. And that's really hard to grasp,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But my cousin turned me on to this newsletter called The Stoics. And the Stoics were this group of philosophers who were around during the time of Seneca and, in that period of the Roman Empire. And just the word Stoic itself means to stay. It pretty much any word that starts with ST, still, stoic, stand, stay, it embodies the meaning. You said when you read that passage that the all was presented itself as being in the middle of good and evil. To me, that is kind of what we're striving for, because you hear people say, I walk the left hand path. Then you go people who you're super pious people, they obviously, I walk the right hand path. But it is said that the hardest path to walk is the middle path, which is called the Hermetic path. And everything, most of what we can put our hands on and study keeps pointing to this middle path. You look at Kabbalah, everything funnels back into the middle.
Right.
The Yod He Vahe runs down the spine of the tree of life. The luminaries are on the spine. Yesod, Tifereth for the sun, Yesod the moon, Malkuth, the earth, is on the spine. The head of the snake is on the spine. So there's all types of little nuggets and hints, I feel, that keep pushing us towards the middle. And I don't even know if it's definable, but I'll say this. If we just go to a mundane level and look at the things going around in the world, some things going on that are messed up are beneficial to those who are able to be stoic. This whole thing going on right now that everybody, we know what's going on. Hey, it's been a headache. It's been burdensome. It's been annoying. But I've also seen some benefits.
Yeah.
Okay.
People changing diets, working out.
Yes.
Reading. Focusing on themselves. Yeah.
Yes. The Fulcrum Point steer car. The Fulcrum Point. I don't know if there's, and I guess that's what I'm trying to drive at. You know what I'm saying? How do, finding that point, I think, is really challenging, because going back to the flail and the crook, when you see the Egyptian statues with the flail and the crook, that was really diving into that was really awakening for me. The flail is used to injure the animal, to make them go forward. Another word for the flail is the ox goad. So God, in some circles, is associated with the goad, as in go forth.
Blessings,
okay?
Brother Williams.
Now the flail or the crook is associated with the staff that the shepherd carries. The shepherd uses a staff to apprehend and pull back. So you got this Egyptian figure is holding something that can make something go, I would say that's the good. And he's holding a tool to hold something back, to apprehend. We can call that the evil. But when you look at how he's holding it, there's a point where both of them meet.
Right.
The point.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think they was given a clue just with that. I think in most that point is moving. So once one thinks they have its moves with the change of time. Meeting my father and three sisters during this pandemic. Oh, okay. Brother Williams said it was an example of what we're talking about. Meeting his father and three sisters during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I go left most, but you're right. The righteous path is in the middle. That was on the side root. Sons done nothing. Okay. You said nothing again. But yeah, I know I went long on that. Yeah. So yeah. But go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Just looking at this, associating with our body again too. Like you got your brain on top. Your brain, your skull goes to your spine, as you said. That's the straight path, and then you got your left and your right side. And I just think I think the answers are all around us.
Mm-hmm.
And once we move away from pre-programming and try to reprogram ourselves, then we start seeing we start seeing it clearly a little more. And then you try to live your life accordingly. Because me and my wife always say, like, what am I applying? Like I can read a lot of things, but then am I applying anything for change? So praying and meditating it's something I used to do. I started doing again, and it feels good. You know what I mean? Eating healthy feels good. Like I could tell a difference. So, implementing what you're learning for me, that's what the pandemic has done for me. Cycle back but then stay locked in, because like we could do stuff for a while, then we fall out, but then the work is staying locked in and then enjoying the benefit for the duration of your time here, but just knowing, you know what I'm saying, like, yeah. Things go around, you still gonna have thoughts or whatever, but long as you understand that's just what that is just a thought, then it kind of goes back to what Sirius Biz said, like you can master it. I don't have to fall into that pitfall. I know what that leads to, instead of making an attempt or playing with an idea, just understand where that idea can lead, because sometimes we'll get caught in it's just like hustling or whatever back in the day. People get knocked off. You're like, oh, that won't happen to me. I know. Oh, that's what he did wrong. Okay, I won't do that. And then, whatever I'm doing, and then that's how he got knocked. I'll add that into what I'm doing, so that doesn't catch me. But then it'd be something else that catch you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but just looking at, my pops always told me, he was like, there was like when I was growing up in Michigan, we would talk on the corner of my grandfather lived on the corner, Central and Going, and my pops would just pull me. I might be in the backyard kicking it with my cousins or whatever, and then my pops would just pull me and be like, come here. And we would go to the corner. And it's funny because when my grandfather living on the corner, there was a stop sign, and you were saying that STs means stay, and that's what stop means. So we would go to the stop sign and talk, and he would just shoot me all, and at the time it was people pitching around where we were at, and he would just shoot me with wisdom of like, yo, this is why you don't want to tap into that. Like, it looked good right now, but this is what the end result could be. So he was basically giving me jewels of like, yeah, you could do that and see this benefit that you're seeing, but here's the flip side of it. You don't want the flip side. So don't even get into it, pretty much. So now learning that early, even though, I still did some things because, we're going to try stuff. But ultimately, when it came to something major where I could have been involved with something, I always set back on that. You know what I mean? Like, yo, we about to go do, a B&E or something. You like, nah, bro, I'm cool on that. You know what I mean? Yeah, y'all might get through, but y'all might not. But I'm not gonna mess with the risk. So that's how I look at life. Like, especially now, like more than ever. But even back then, I had implemented that just from stuff my pops was telling me, because he was pointing out a lot of stuff like that.
Right on. Well, it's one thing I see going back to this story, thinking about that, is if a grown adult can reflect back on some positivity that was implanted, it is a source of power from a parent.
Right.
And the Aldabaoth story initially starts out with a somewhat abandoned child, if not abandoned in any other way, emotionally abandoned child.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I like to play around with numerology, and I'm not talking about the gematria, but I'm talking about just some simple numerology. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Where you take the basic cipher for the alphabet. And, I'm a nerd. So I go down the rabbit hole on words that equal 11.
Mm-hmm.
Because 11 is when L is even. Because we always say that the first master number is 11. So I said, well, why? Because L, God, is even.
Mm.
And so one of the words that equals 11 is parent.
Wow.
Parent. To be a parent, a real parent, is to be a master. Because Isis and Osiris said, or the legend or the mythology says, one of the stories is that they came to show man how to cultivate wheat. And if you think about what is a parent doing in essence, you're cultivating wheat.
Yep.
That wheat started out as a seed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
It's all around us.
It's all around us. And so I want to bring this up. So this is, this is Ryan. I've spoken with Ryan before. He says, I've been struggling, but I'm up and down, but I'm here.
Mm.
And this is where stoicism comes in. How do I find where I can gain some measure of steadiness? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm jumping around here, but it's all ties in. Where and we're taking this to the mundane level now. Where can I be of service? Where can I be of service? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is also tying into our whole thing, well, the aspect of Aldebath at least. How can you overcome this dark side of the ego? By finding where I can be of service. And that's Virgo. Where can I be of service? Where am I willing to suffer? Because after Virgo is Libra. Libra opposes Aries, which is the natural house of the ego. So Virgo is harvesting to prepare to share with someone else. Me versus we. Yoel, I would say yes. That's partly what it is. It's the inner child, the unhealed child. It's Chiron in our charts. It's Chiron. And so, look, they say, okay, we're in the Aquarian age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's figure out, how do we get up to functioning at a high level in the Aquarian age? We all started off as an id or ego, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we grow and we grow and we start to become more responsible. At least we hope so.
Right.
So we get around to our 6th house, Virgo. We start taking on responsibility. We start to identify what we're willing to suffer for, what we're willing to commit to and work towards. Now, that then prepares us to have a healthy relationship. And the healthy relationship is now pointing towards Aquarius.
Mm-hmm.
The 7th house is preparing for the 11th house. Because you got to know how to relate with somebody in order to have the foundation to pull out your gifts to share with the world. I don't know how the fuck I'm going. I went all the way off on this shit. I started talking about my man talking about going back and forth. We're talking about finding some balance. That's why I brought this up. Because Libra is balance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna pump the brakes because I'm gonna go off on a.
That's what they need. You that's your lane, fam. I'm taking it in. That's your lane.
We on here on 320, 221. That's, if you look at it numerologically, that's 5-5. 3 and 2 is 5. 221 is 5.
Mm-hmm.
That number in Kabbalah represents the holy marriage. In this text here, they talk about how the divine spirit created Sophia, or what they call Borbello. They came together and then they created the offspring, right?
Mm-hmm.
This shit this shit is just wow. We're here on 320, 221. 5 and 5 in Hebrew is cool. That's KL with the H on the end. What does that mean? That means if the masculine and the feminine come together, they produce something. They produce something. They produce a seed. And that seed is right now, the birth of spring.
Wow.
We're walking out the gym today, and down there on the ground is a card that has manifest on the card. Somebody's business card. So when you say it's all around us, it's all around us. It's all like when the veil. I hate to use these terms that people use. You know, the veil is thin. The motherfucker is thin for real. For real, for real. Look, everything that the so-called matrix is trying to do and the controllers of the matrix is to try to keep up with where we naturally are in the cycle of human development.
And then create
the whole point of wanting to come up with a smart city is to combat the metaphysical smart cities that we are creating. If you're paying attention and you're driving down the street, the billboards are talking to you. Shit laying on the ground's talking to you. Car drive by got something on it talking. This all around us. For those who have eyes to see and ears to hear.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop right there.
Like they live. Obey. So, but the opposite way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting stuff, man. It's funny because my birthday is August 11th, and I'm looking at this banner as you're talking, and it's like Opus 11, Clarity in Sight, and you know, and when I created that track, like I didn't, that wasn't in my purview at that time. It was just like it when I got done and listened to it, I was like, this what it feels like, but I didn't even associate that 11. But that's something I wrote in my book for me in the past was clarity. Because tapping into something Ryan said with procrastination, bro, I was a big procrastinator. And I'm really just pulling myself out of it, to be honest with you, and trying to get back on track to where I was, to what I was doing 10 years ago, 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago now, when I began, when I decided to stop drinking and smoking weed and all of that stuff and turn myself around. And I was doing well. And then, as I said before, I started getting into information that it bogged me down. And I sat in that for a while. And now I'm trying to pull myself up. So what I find out about procrastination is I think we all get thoughts to do things. And when we get that download, we got to tap into it. Last night, I made this beat last night. Now I'm at work cleaning. For those that don't know, I have a cleaning business. I clean at night. I'm at work cleaning. So I didn't listen to no information, no lectures, no nothing. I just listened to music. I put on I started off, so if you, I guess this works with all streaming services. If you put an album on after the last song, it just goes into auto-generated music that's similar to that artist you listen to, kind of like how Pandora and all of that stuff work. So I was listening to some Force MDs, and then the music just kept going. So I'm listening. I make organic beats and I sample. So last night I hear a track by Mint Condition. I hear the High Five classic. I like the Way. And then I heard Tony's Anniversary. Now I heard the Quincy Jones song Sweet Secret Garden with, I'll Be Sure James Ingram, El DeBarge, and Barry White on it. So now I'm listening to a whole bunch of music, but these 4 tracks stand out, and I'm like, oh man, I could take little pieces, and my mind started working while I'm cleaning. So at work, I started getting excited. I'm like, yo, when I get home, I'm gonna work on this beat. Did you listen to the beat yet, Jamal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's called Champagne Wishes. And I made that beat with all 4 of those pieces. Like not the whole songs, but pieces out of those songs. I made this track. But if I wouldn't have did that last night, it would have been a thought. I would have came home, did something else, and that thought would have faded. And I wouldn't have made this track. So that's what procrastination has done for me, bro. It's like when I get the download to do something, I got to tap in right there because it's a benefit when you tap in at that moment. You know what I mean? Like I've been wanting to eat clean yesterday. I ate clean. Kale, spinach, carrots, onions, minced garlic, peppers, and couscous. And today I did the same thing, but now it's the start of it now, of clean eating. But what I found out is, I'm going to start on Monday. No, it happened organically. Now I got 2 days. Now, I don't really eat trash, but what I will do, my Thursday night is my Friday night for everybody because I don't have to clean on Friday nights. I go on Saturday morning. So when I get done cleaning, I'll stop by the gas station, grab me some hot popcorn, some hot cheese popcorn, some hot and honey cheese doodles. If they got candy bars too for something, get one of them. Get my my Starbucks double shot joints, and then I come home and create. That's my Thursday night going into Friday morning. But I didn't do that Thursday. I came home, finished. I came home, ate what I made earlier, and then I started working on that track. And that's what I find for me though. Procrastination. If I you gotta just tap in. But the work is staying tapped in. And I think how you stay tapped in is there's gonna be a positive benefit at the end. And I made this track, and I think the track's dope. But if I didn't tap into that energy, I don't even think I would have made the track.
Right. Yep.
Appreciate the serious biz.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to listen. It's been mayhem around here with the babies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but when I get a chance to listen quietly, I can really listen.
And if I could, I would just like to play some of these chops so y'all know where I got it from, and maybe play the track just so y'all could hear what I did with it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, rock on.
Because it's very interesting. So, and I pitched these samples down -2, so I'll play them at the original pitch. If it allows me. Okay. So this is mint condition. And this is the same song, but a different part. Let me go back, because when I play this beat, I wanted to be in the right pitches again. So then I took this part, and I use this as the bass line, because the bass is in that part. I took all the highs out and use it as a bass. Okay. Then, so Then I come to the Secret Garden song, and I always wanted, and I did this one -4, but I always like ad libs and songs, like, so. See, I always like that in songs, and like to put that in the beat. Then, so that ooh is El DeBarge in that Secret Garden song. And then this is some more highs from and I put an effect on that. This is from High Five. This is at the end of the song. So you get a little bit of atmospherics from that. And then I got this bass line from the end of it's the 9-minute version of Tony's Anniversary. And I lifted this bass line. Took the highs out to bring more of the bass in, but you can still hear a little bit of the vocal in the back. And I wind up using that bass at the end of the track. And then I put that all together and you get this. And I did the drum track.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for those that don't know, I grew up on jazz, and I like to what one of the mantras I use is hip hop with a jazz mindset. So that's why I try to, I could do traditional, couple loops, transition, chorus, but I make instrumental music. I mean, when I make these tracks, I'm trying to give you something to like. I know you don't want to listen to a loop for 2 straight minutes, so I gotta give you. I have to add some different things in there. But if I procrastinate and come home and don't work on that track, we're not listening to that, because what's gonna happen is I was formulating it at home, and not formulating it in a way of, I knew I was about to do everything I just played, meaning I knew what pieces I wanted to use from the track. Then I had to come home and chop some of it, loop some of it, come with the drum track, all of that type stuff. But if I would have came home and be like, I'll mess with it in the morning, all those thoughts would have faded. Because I know for sure, because it's happened before. So whenever I get ideas like that, like, yo, sample this, sample. Even when I used to work working a different job, I'll be at work and a song will come in my mind to chop up. And then I'll be like, and I'll be like, okay, and I'll take that and make it. And I'll come home, not do it, and then I'll forget what the track was. Or if I wait a couple of days and be like, man, I forget what I wanted to sample from it. So, that's why I was saying with the procrastination, if you just step right into it, I believe, and everything I say is for me, man, because I don't know what works for other people, but I know for me, I get that direct benefit of what the download said do. So, Ryan, just tap in, good brother, and thanks for the love on the track. Like I said, I'll try to make, I like to do, sometimes I like to do beats, they start one way and another way. You know what I mean? And, I'm petering ideas out and trying to figure it out. But thanks for the love on the track, guys. And ladies, because I know we had a lady in here earlier.
Yeah, that was smooth. I'm gonna have to listen.
Appreciate it.
I have to do my listen with the buds when the house is quiet, so I can really listen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a good point about the procrastination.
Yeah. Because me and Jamal talk about this a lot, but I feel like when something jumps in me or comes to me in that way, and not just with music, other things also, I feel like it's from the Most High. I call it I say I'm getting a download from the source. That's why I call it a download. Like if I'm innately attached to what we call the all, I think the all can tap into me. And if it's something negative, I don't buy into that. Because we say we have an ego and we're trying to walk down that, trying to walk down that middle path. Anything that comes in my mind that ain't right, I don't tap into it. When it comes to me and it makes sense, that's what I tap into.
I also think too, what helps with procrastination is just to be straight up with me, is responsibility. If enough stress is put on, especially on your time, I'm gonna be straight up. One of my brothers sometimes will tell me, man, I'm bored as hell. I be wanting to punch a hole in the motherfucking wall. I'm gonna be straight up.
Mm-hmm.
I have no pity for people who got time on their hands. I can, and that's my own albatross I got to work through. But I can get belligerent.
Mm-hmm.
If you got time on your hands, I am not the guy to talk to about being bored.
And I'm gonna tell you something, not to cut your thought, but I remember when you first started talking to me about that. You made me look at my time. And when I looked at my time, because there was a point where I was in a little fog and I would just lay in bed and think about ideas and this and that. And then you would talk to me about time. And I'm like, bro, like I could be making beats right now. And I'm laying in bed thinking about BS. So I will have to say you were the one that made me look at my time and say, bro, like, yo, get up and do something. Because what's gonna happen, 20 years is gonna pass, and I'm gonna look back on this time and talk about, man, I had time to do, and I didn't do nothing. So yeah, you motivated me. And I still, like I said, that, and I ain't perfect. I still have a little procrastination. I got some days where I don't come in my studio or do nothing artistic. You know what I mean? But I try to tap in more than where I was only, that was the time I was only doing beats on the weekend, which was cool. I was kind of busy, but yeah, Jamal helped me with that. He made me look at time in a different way because, obviously he has a family and everything going on, and he just doesn't have it like I have it. So he made me tap in to become more fruitful in that area. So thank you.
No doubt. For me, the time issue is it has forced me to be very cognizant of where, like, I have to plan on having time. One of the worst things that can happen is for me to get a couple of hours and not have a plan for how I'm going to use those 2 hours. So even in the midst of me taking care of responsibilities, I mean, why I think I would be doing the live videos, I'd be washing dishes.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's because, like, okay, I want to record something, but I don't like no damn dishes being piled up. So I'm gonna do both of them, and not to keep beating this dead horse, this astrology thing, but I swear it comes back all the time, and I'm not even gonna make an astrology reference. It's just, I'm gonna keep it out of there, but it's just, I have to sit. Your life is like running a business.
Yes.
And you have to constantly be an accountant, not of just your money, but of your time, of your energy. Where is my energy being directed? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so even in the midst of me taking care of responsibilities, I'd be having to think like, okay, when I get this done, okay, and when I can, Wednesday, I'm starting working on Sunday, planning for Thursday. And in the midst, because I work from home, and so when my wife is at work, I'm here with a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they are off the chain. So I was not blessed with a heap of patience when I came into the world. Okay, I have Venus and Aries, you know. So this is a constant test for me to work on my patience. Okay, so I'm not always trying to just do some shit I want to do for fun. A lot of times I'm just trying to get my work done. And I got to make sure I tend to them. And so in the midst of that, I'm thinking I have to put myself on a schedule, on a schedule. There is no room for bullshitting. I got to get up at 5 o'clock to get started before they wake up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what it does is it removes even the opportunity for procrastination. And sometimes if life is too easy for you, not saying you, but I'm saying in general,
right,
it can it can breed feelings of boredom. And when you're bored, just the idea of being bored means you're open. You're open to something walking in. Like they're talking about the thing about walk-ins.
Mm-hmm.
That shit's real on a spiritual and mundane level. You can allow shit to walk in just by being bored.
Yeah, let me
And
go
so
deeper.
sometimes having pressure and responsibility is a good thing because it
Keeps
blocks
you
out a lot of bullshit.
Yep.
I ain't got time for a lot of bullshit. I don't have time to sit around and be high for fucking 8 hours. You know what I'm saying? I have things to do.
Yep.
And sometimes if life is too easy for you, it's the worst thing. I'm telling you, I know people. I know people who don't have to work. They sit at home. They could be going like right now here in Texas, man, if you selling property, man, this is the best time to be a real estate agent. You can put your house on the market because we got a bubble going right now. It's gonna pop, but we got a bubble with real estate. I know people who too lazy just to go fucking real estate school and you could be making a killing. But life is too fucking easy for them. And I know it's true because it's the same thing with working out. When you sit around too long and don't move your body, it makes your blood stagnant. It makes you motivationally stagnant. It makes your mind stagnant. For men, well, we ain't gonna go there. It can make everything stagnant.
Pause.
Alkaline water. So movement is necessary. One thing Dap said one day on the phone is like, if you stand too long, it ain't good. If you lay down too long, it ain't good. If you sit too long, it ain't good. He was like, we were created to move.
Yes.
And that's what it really is, man. There's a benefit to life not being easy sometimes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because yeah.
Yep. Serious biz. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina.
I tell
Yeah.
people.
Oh, my bad. I was looking at that too.
Graphic design, but most want to concept it as yes. Yoel, you do graphic design?
And Ryan, real quick, if you could, you said earlier that I needed a sound room. I'm always interested in learning more about music and sound and all that type of stuff. So type out in the chat what you mean by a sound room so I could look into that. Please.
Some of these bars are right. I'm out driving.
Somatics. Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
And I'm listening to music. Like what I used to do is before I discovered that my phone could work as a hotspot for my computer, I would go out and drive. I would call this the nap drive. Take my kids out about 2:00, ride them, and I had found the different places where I could park in a parking lot and jump on their Wi-Fi, and I could work. But what I'd have to do is ride them till they fall asleep. The highway is great for putting kids to sleep. And then when I see they dozing off, I pull over into the parking lot, So a lot of times while I be driving, I be listening to beats, and bars would come as I'm driving. So sometimes I gotta stop at the red light. I type some stuff in my phone, or it'd be so overwhelming I had to just pull over in the parking lot somewhere, some store or whatever, and type my beats. I mean, type some bars out. When when this think music thing really does take off, it's gonna be a hell of a story to tell. You know what I'm saying? It's not it's not it's not one of those fake grassroots things where you really got some machine behind you and you trying to make it look like you came up out the dirt. And no, this shit is real. Like
This ain't no industry plant.
no, ain't no industry plant. You know, this is having to live life, you know, um uh deal with ups and downs, having to work, responsibilities, but there's a hunger to do this art,
Yes.
you know. And you know, it's it's a magical thing. It's not easy, for damn sure it ain't easy. Um but it creates a hunger. I'm
Mm-hmm.
hungry. I don't understand the MC who talking about they got a writer's block, or they having trouble finding inspiration. I can't even relate to that shit.
Likewise.
It's like I had to wait so long to play football. All my friends was playing football at 6 and 7. I had to wait till I was 13. When I finally got my chance to get out there, I was starving. And it's the same way with this music. I've been waiting for 20 something years to do some music. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I can't relate to cats talking about they burnt out. I got shit. We got so much music that's just sitting. Let me look. We have a song that's 20 minutes long. I'm just gonna go and put it out there. We got a song that's 20 minutes long. We have an album. Well, okay, I'm gonna stop there. We have a 20-minute long song. This is some unorthodox shit. You know how much writing you got to do to write for 20 minutes?
And I made that beat in one night. It took me like 4 hours to make that beat, and it's
And
like
that
nine.
beat, that beat got like 10 different beat changes in it. I want to say it's 11.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I came home one night and chopped up a 35-minute. It's not out yet, Ryan. Um, I chopped up a 35-minute track, and then I did it in like 4 hours and sent it to Jamal in the morning and said, "Here's transformative moments." And he listened to it. And one thing I know about him, when he's excited, his pen's going. Like, what y'all don't know is that his pen's on fire right now. Like, I'm sending him tracks and he's like, "Yeah, I got 8 bars." It's like, wow. And or I got 10 bars, 12 bars. A couple days later, it's done. I'm like, wow. And we call these short little 2 minutes and 30s, we call those layups, because he didn't wrote to these long opuses. And that's what Clarity and Sight is that we played on If you haven't heard it on the Bandcamp, check that out, please. And that's what we played on Killer Priest's podcast. The first track that we sent to be played there. They didn't play it in its entirety, but we make these joints called opuses, and they're long form beats. Jamal goes in on them. We have one out now called Dubai Sunset. We're gonna redo that because now we found our engineer that we like, and so we're gonna redo that track. But it is out; you can hear it. Just to get a synopsis, you can listen to that. Clarity Inside
Shut
is
that serious biz.
and um and it's but it's when I make those tracks, I do them in one night. I get off and I get all these sound sources, chop them up, and that's what I call an opus. So Jamal, when I first started doing them, you know, he was like, cool, because he was this is like 2 years ago, so he was in a different place, and then he challenged himself to write to one, and he did, and we put it out, and that was Dubai Sunset, and now, I mean, I'll let him speak on his pen and all of that, but we feel like what we're bringing to the hip hop game is just traditional hard, not, I ain't gonna say hardcore, but traditional um conscious hip hop. You know what I mean? In the vein of, not trying to be in that vein, but we know people gonna box it in that vein. But your poor righteous teachers, your brand Nubians, like just something for you to think. Like, you got everything else. You know what I'm saying? You got all the other stuff. So, this is what me and him naturally I say gravitate to. Like, it's not like we want to be this, it's just what we do. When I was coming up, my favorite rappers was all the Think guys. Karis One, Big Daddy Kane, Run. My favorite MCs is Run, Big Daddy Kane, KRS, and Redman. I'm from New Jersey, so Redman's my guy. I'm from East Orange, New Jersey. Redman's my guy. But my fifth is always between Common, Black Thought, Lupe, and Ghostface. I can't settle on the fifth. But those are the artists I always gravitated towards the knowledge rappers that was spitting something. So that's why I thought when I met Jamal and then listened to his stuff on SoundCloud, I was like, if he could write to my beats, I feel like we have something awesome. And and now we're at this point. So but yeah, my tracks are I try to make my tracks. You're gonna get the boom bap drum track more than likely, because I feel like the drums are the spine. But I want you to really dig into everything else that's going along with the beat. The spine is the drum track. Everything else is where I would love people to pay their attention to. The melodics, the bass lines, the little twinkles, the little trinkets. That's where I get my my hip hop with a jazz mindset from. The drums are hip hop. Everything else I try to bring a jazz mindset to, as far as, the melodies and bass and everything else. We can't wait to give y'all this project. While we here, if y'all could go to bandcamp.com and just follow us on there, you'll get an email every time we drop music. And turn some of your friends on, family that's into, into that type of hip hop that we do. Turn them on, and we would greatly appreciate that.
No doubt. Yeah.
It's that 3:15 hour, fam. How you
What's
feeling? Oh, it's 2:15 for you. How you feeling?
that? I mean, I'm good. I had a whole, you know, I'm good to stop where, I wrote a few notes down, but I
Let's
think
step
that's
in.
probably,
Oh, okay, okay.
um,
You're right. And that's what Jamal always says. Says with headphones, you feel the tones moving around. That's why
right.
Jamal always say listen to the music with. That's why he just said tonight, like I gotta hear that with the buds on.
Yeah,
He,
yeah.
he he found out my tricks a little bit. He found out some things that I do with sequencing and everything that I was like, oh, he's paying attention. Oh, that
Hmm.
didn't go back, huh, Dap? Oh, okay, I got you, bud.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. You got to really listen. You got to really listen. What this task is, it's a difficult task because you're only going to get a certain segment of the population. We understand that.
Right,
This is never going to be mainstream. It's not the intent. But
right.
we're trying to coach those people who have the intelligence. And we know there are a lot of intelligent people out there.
Indeed.
That's why we strategically approach the Killer Priest podcast. Shout out to the Killer Priest podcast for,
Peace, peace.
playing our music because we know if people are in the Killer Priest, then you got to have a couple of synapses firing in your brain, you know.
Right.
So, but still, we know that is just not enticing to the masses.
Right.
But we're trying to coach those people who have the mental fortitude to engage in what we're doing. We're trying to coach them to how to experience this music.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to experience it up and close. It's not. It'll bang in your whip, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but but that doesn't give you the real experience. You got to get it close to you, to your
Mm-hmm.
eardrum,
Yes.
and you got to hear the little trinkets and the beats. And not to toot my horn, but I write to where every line is a punchline. If you want to use that terminology, I don't write punchlines, but I just write. But
Mm.
I I was born to write. Once I start learning a little bit of astrology, it's like, and I'm not talking about just emceeing. I'm just talking about writing. I'm a writer. You know, I was born on Wednesday, Mercury's day, communication. You know what I'm saying? My son is in the third house, Mercury's house. I have Aquarius in the third house. So this shit is just like, it's just, this is what I'm supposed, I, I could write before I could do anything. My fourth grade teacher started me out. She had me write a speech for this Martin Luther King program. No. She had me do a speech for Martin Luther King Day, but she had me write a letter to these people who were coming to visit our school. And that's when I knew I could write. That same teacher, when my father transitioned, she was at his funeral. Her name was, she's transitioned now too, but her name was Grace Baycoat.
Mm.
And she was there at my father's funeral. And as I'm walking down the aisle, she said, "When you gonna write that book?"
Wow.
We ain't never talked about no book. And that cause that's the woman who at first encouraged me to write.
Wow.
So um it's just this is I can't help it. I can't help it, you know. So these bars, if you listen, there's no fluff.
None.
There's no fluff. Everything is.
And I like to tell people this. Behind our pictures is our album artwork for Global Reset. When you go to Bandcamp, check out Milan Fashion Week. I think that when you peep the story on that song, it's it's amazing. I think that's some of the most in-depth writing that I've heard in a very long time. It's a 3-parter, and it's different versions of a woman with the concept of Milan Fashion Week behind it, which we all know what Milan Fashion Week is. I don't even know why I titled that opus that. And that's an opus also. That's opus 9. So, and we put it on the album. So we put it on the EP rather, the Global Reset EP. But go check out Milan Fashion Week. And it's not on that one, the beats are super minimalistic, but the story is a novel. Straight up. The story is a novel. And I'm talking about put your earbuds on. Put your earbuds on and listen to that track. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna get something from it. While he does that, I would like to play another track, if you guys don't mind. Oh, this isn't ready. I'm working on this one. Okay. That's a work in progress. I think this is ready. I'm working on 2 projects. One is called Glitches in the Matrix. It's an instrumental album. I'll be dropping that next month. And then I also have another project called The Subtleties of Change, which April, May. I'll probably drop, April, May. I'll probably drop that in June, another instrumental album. And in between that time, me and Jamal will be dropping we'll be dropping a Think Muzic EP. I think the next one we're gonna drop is called Moorish Legacy. And he's written to all the songs. It's a 4-song EP. He's written to all the songs. And now we just have to set up the studio time so he can go in the studio and record the tracks. And then we'll find a date to drop that on and give that to y'all. This track is called Chandelier Fixtures. This will be on the Subtleties of Change album. Give y'all a little preview of a track. Here we go.
Yeah.
I call
Yeah,
that.
that's serious.
Thank you, thank you. I call that chandelier fixtures. Um, this album is gonna be this subtleties of change album. Man, is man, oh day. I think it's gonna be really good, and this is all organic. That's no samples. These two projects I'm putting out are sampleless projects. Won't be any samples in these projects. All organic. Um, so yeah, because I do sample, and I like to make beats without no samples. Because when I'm making beats with no samples, that's more. I feel like that's more me tapping in to my thoughts. So to manipulate someone else's music, I'm gonna be honest with you, is easy, but um, but to find, you know, to create something from nothing is that's a tough task. So yeah, serious biz. Yeah, we call it organic. I got that from our producer friends. When you're doing a beat that's non with no samples, we call it organic, an organic beat. Um, so yeah, chandelier fixtures. Thank you all for for the feedback on that track. I greatly appreciate it. I think the feedback lets me know that I'm doing something right. Uh, that the ideas that I'm pursuing make sense. So I thank you all for the positive feedback. Um, and like I said, I'm excited for our next EP, man. Um, Moorish Legacy. I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a head turner, man. Like we really try to, when we putting out these projects, we really try to tap in. Um, we okay, so y'all know how we do. I send them beats. I send Jamal beats. He writes to them. Then that's when we start mishmashing. Like, oh, this works with this and this works with that. So y'all, now these current, Morris Legacy is all current tracks. But Global Reset had tracks on it that was 3 years old and tracks that was a few months old. So um we like to get the music and then see what fits and then put it together and give it to you all. So but I think this Moorish Legacy is gonna be special because all the tracks have the same feel, but they weren't made in the same way, which is ill. So, um, yeah, it's gonna be nice.
So, well, good brother. Um, I think I've covered about all I can cover.
All right, all right. Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, maybe we'll come back and tackle this again.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah,
topic.
it's way more. Yeah, it's way more. Um, and some other thing. What I need to do is I got to do like you and take notes of show notes of what I want to talk because it was when I know we coming from that I need to write down actually what I want to speak from so I can go to it. I'll try to just look through it real quick and go off memory. And I know my memory shot. I smoked reefer for 19 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, buddy.
Yeah.
It's okay. Write something down. My wife turned me on the list. I just wrote my first little list maybe early this month and started writing stuff off my joint. But yeah. So you want to do a part 2 next week?
Well, let's see. See how
Wherever I
unless something else materializes that,
Okay.
you know. Um, I'm gonna start back putting. Again, I need to start back putting up some more content.
Mm-hmm.
E- Uh, additionally, so um, guess we'll see how to.
Appreciate that serious, Biz.
Yeah, for sure. Glad everybody, hung in there on the late night ride.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yep.
had some technical difficulties. We could have been on here earlier, so that ended up chewing up some time. But I got to go and get with my web guy tomorrow because somebody said something about writing books, and I was like, well, I got a couple of books on my
Mm-hmm.
website, and I was about to post a link, and I go on my damn site is down.
Oh wow.
So I'm gonna have to call him tomorrow and see what's the deal.
Hey, you right. It got it. Yeah, I was an addict for a minute, bro. Like I ain't gonna hold you. Like I used to be late to work to make sure I had weed for when I get off. So I was an addict, but I'm 11 years removed, and um, but I did let it control me a little bit, bro. And you can't let it do that. When I was like, man, I get off work, I gotta have something to fire up. Um, yeah, took a little control for a minute, but I'm good. And listen, I'm not against it. Like I'm not, people that I don't smoke, so you shouldn't smoke, guy. I'm definitely not that. But but yeah, I had to step off for a second and lock in. So I might fire up in my 60s when everything's all said and done. when I'm just when I'm retired or something, and whatever, you know,
Right,
eating apple butter and toast. Might fire something up. But then again,
right,
who knows if you're gonna be able to get natural weed in 20 plus years.
yeah,
That might be the yo, I got that natural. This is from the ground. This is organic weed. Oh,
right.
that's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Yo, listen, I started drinking at 15 serious, Biz. I started drinking and smoking at the same age, bro. And I grew up around like on my pop side, drinking was heavy, so I seen it. And I tapped in early. Like they was letting us tap in early. You know what I mean? And I had no control. I had no one told me how to master that thing. It was trial and error. So my esophagus has paid many a tribute to my stomach lining because I threw up a lot coming up, bro. Like for real. And it wasn't until later in my years, man. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, fam. It wasn't until it wasn't until I knew I had to stop drinking that I really got my drinking under control. Like I wasn't one of those guys that drink Listerine if I didn't have anything. Like I wasn't one of them guys. But um, but when I did drink, I had no governor. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna just drink two today and a shot. Like, nah, we getting it in? Oh, we getting it in. Flat out. But um, yeah, but 11 years, bro, like, and I see some changes in myself. So skin complexion, all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? But but yeah, man. Good pod. Thank y'all for checking us out, man. Really appreciate it. What I
No
like about our
doubt.
podcast too is we like to give y'all information that's practical that we're doing in our life. Just to put this out there, instead of just freestyle talking, we like to show y'all the books we're reading from and what we're getting from it, and then we like to tap in with the music because that's what we do also. So that's why you get the Think Music Podcast. That was our whole when we came with the name concept. It was simple. Like my rap name, my stage name was Money Rhyme, and my cousin helped me come. It was Money Rhyme Teacher, and I put the teacher on because, like I said, I was a big KRS-One fan. He's known as the teacher. So my name was Money Rhyme Teacher MRT, and it simply was you make money from rhyming. I like the rhyme, and then I want to deposit myself as a quote unquote teacher, but um and that was my stage name. So like when me and Jamal linked and we figured to do music, it was like Think Music make the most sense. We want y'all to think, and I try to make a musical bed. At first I was, before I met Jamal, I was doing instrumental stuff. But because I know I couldn't, like I said earlier, I couldn't do a loop for 2 minutes. I tried to make my instrumentals musical. That's why I try to put so much in it, but not to where it's overwhelming. I like to use that Miles Davis mindset of space is an instrument. So, and then when you get Jamal lyricism over that bed, you get Think Music. You know what I mean? So you're getting something with our music, and we said this before. It's like listening to a jazz track. One time you're gonna listen to it to hear Jamal's lyrics, and then one time you're gonna listen to it and see what's going on in the instrumental. Then you'll listen to it a third time and see how his words fit when certain instruments hit. That's just a what they call them. That's a Easter egg for you. Watch how his words fit with certain instruments in the beat, or how to, loop or sample or chop or whatever's doing something. Um, so yeah.
Sir. All right. Well, y'all had to pardon me. Old man and gave it a good shot, but it's the monkey is upon my back.
As my dad used to say, it's pumpkin time. That's when he would
Right.
go home and get relaxed and get ready for work. He don't
Sir.
know what's going on. Wait, it's pumpkin time. It's time to
It's
go
pumpkin
to
time.
sleep.
Yes, once again, thank y'all all for joining in. Thank
Yes,
y'all for participating.
yes,
You know, um, your energy is not discounted one
not.
bit. So,
And please go to thinkmusic.bandcamp.com and follow us.
yes, yes,
It's free. I
it's
heard
free.
somebody, I heard somebody say that before. Like, share, and subscribe. It's free.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. Well, we'll catch y'all on the top side for the next one. Peace.
Peace.